So as we start the second turn of White Mountain, I'm looking at jumping back a little bit and saying I want to roll for those Transylvanians. What is it? A 7, 8, or 9 is what I need. A 3 or less is bad. I get a 0, that's bad. They're all going to leave. That's 10 victory points for the maybe necessary for other scenarios. That's 10 victory points immediately for the Catholics. But, you know, it's good to know they're gone. I was going to need them eventually, and they looked very useful in terms of trying to interdict this cav, which is going to come screaming down on the left flank of the Protestants. So the Imperial first wing charged forward. Those are the Imperials, or those are? Yeah, these are the Imperial. No, this is the League, I think. No, these are the Imperials. This is the League. I can't remember. The Imperial first echelon charged forward. You can see the Cav have pushed into a number of places. Now, there was one little engagement where one of the Protestant Cav charged forward and intercepted. And Thurn went with that and ended up charging off the map. Painful situation. Momentum gained there. That wasn't an arquebus. Destroyed Mander's Maradas, which I think are Spanish troops, off the board. But now he's gone, perhaps for the battle. I don't remember if they can be recovered. I know they can in SPQR. I got to look up here. I don't think they can. I think he's got to wait until he gets a replacement leader at this point, which kind of throws the Protestants into a problem here. He was stacked with the Cav, though, in an attempt to retreat from Likenstein here. Now, I've got a number of these kind of attacks on flanks going on. You can see some pistol fire was conducted. This guy had to rotate, as his reaction, so he couldn't fire back. All of the Protestant units have gone into hedgehog formation. This unit is not going to attack. It just charged forward rather than doing introduction fire. Its plan is to shoot these guys up while they're in hedgehog, but it can't fire right now. Attacking a hedgehog is probably a bad idea. If you look, heavy infantry versus hedgehog is a slight penalty. The hedgehog is actually a better defensive position. The hedgehog itself can't attack, so the Protestants are going to have to reform, but they lost their leader. Yeah, Protestant reformers. So they're kind of stuck in a hellish position. This whole flank looks like it's going to collapse because of Thurn being a little over-aggressive in his charge. I don't think... I fired pistols with these. I don't think I terribly need to launch this attack. See, this is a problem. If you look at the numbers, I have a morale penalty, I have a flank attack, and I have a leader bonus, but I have a morale penalty, and I also am smaller, which means I'm going to be facing a -1 penalty there, I think. Am I small enough that it's actually -2? It may be. That makes it kind of difficult to make the attack. So I'd rather not actually launch this attack. And since I'm not in a front hex side, they can't attack me. They'll turn and probably fight me next round. And that'll be bad enough. Well, next time they get an activation, which isn't this turn, because this is all that left flank, which is out of play right now. So I think I'll stick with where I am and not conduct any attacks against those hedgehogs, obviously. I can't imagine cavalry doing well against a hedgehog. Especially, those are cuirassiers, so they're not as bad. But that's a -2 to the attack. The momentum would get rid of that, but we're talking about a 3-7 to a 9-6. The penalties for size would be too great. If I can't get a flank attack, I don't really want to do it. Alright, so that brings us, yep, I get to roll a continuation with Likenstein. Now he's got a problem in that these units are no longer in command. I wonder what that'll do. I was hoping to break this formation up enough that I would have the ability to have this guy in command. And I'm in a charge. Trying to continue. Likenstein's not that good, so he'll be finished. And we'll go to their next formation, which is the second wing, which I have to be kind of careful with. The charge that I made up this hill caused me a formation hit, actually. I've got to be, because I didn't have them in open order. I got to be careful with these open order guys, though. They can advance pretty safely against these units that are out of command now. But yeah, it's risky to be near the opponent in open order. I'm worried I'm being a little too cautious. I brought that second wing up into place here. It's in open order. But you know, here's the problem. Because it's in open order, I don't really want to engage, so I didn't push it as hard as it could. But then I didn't get a continuation. I was hoping to get it out of open order as they start crossing up here. But I think I really should be pushing harder and trying to get this into hedgehog so that I can move forward and shoot it up and issues like that. I'm not sure I'm doing the right thing here. I think Brian's going to yell at me for being too slow. But that's okay. Now we've got Tilly's command coming into play. And because I started swinging this over, I'm beginning to think that I want to hit the Protestants kind of along the line, as opposed to what I was looking at, which was just collapsing this flank and putting all the pressure there. I think I've got to move more across, deal with the artillery that are in front of me, and actually fight them. We'll see how that works out. Well, all of the Catholic forces have moved, and I don't feel terribly comfortable in my situation. Granted, I haven't taken heavy fire from those artillery. They've tried, but I just don't feel like I'm getting something up in the front that's effective against a standing line of Protestants. This side, yeah, it started off well, but everywhere else, I just kind of feel like this guy didn't actually have to check for hedgehog. I made a mistake. Forgot that these guys are not in charge formation, and they weren't able to change to it, and I had slipped a cav in there, and I had to redo that. But yeah, it looks like I have a jumbled mess of Catholics, and I just don't feel comfortable at all with that situation. Now, can the Protestants charge forward and attack? I don't know. They probably kind of want to anchor themselves with this artillery. I don't like that artillery out there that open. It's too easy for the cav to take out. The cav up here is in open order. It's hard to tell because it's all covered by counters, but that is cav. It maybe could have slipped around, but then it could be intercepted, so I was a little afraid and a little leery of doing that in open order. It's part of my hesitancy here is, yeah, I don't feel comfortable with what I've got up there. Alright, well, let's see what the Protestants can do. And the Protestants weren't able to get any command changes, so they did very, very limited movement. They kind of would have liked to have pushed their right flank up to anchor against this gun, or even this central unit, which they could wheel. That might be a wise move. I think they'll keep it anchored here. But they were able to improve the formation of one of the units, but they weren't able to get outside of this receive charge status. In fact, they have a penalty for continuations and preemptions, so it's very unlikely that they'll get a second activation, which they kind of needed in some cases. After recovering here, they did the recovery here, and we're hoping for an additional action afterwards. We got a colonel back from here using the leader replacement table. So whoever's out here, Thurn doesn't come back to help me. He's left the battlefield for now. Well, for the rest of the game. I was mistaken. There is no chance of these guys ever coming back. There's no, unless, I think one scenario had special rules in one of the games where the pursuing units could come back to the field. But pretty much, yeah, they're gone for the game, and no points for them, but it is a good way to break up the ability of the attacker, or of the whichever side, to have a decent force on the field, either commanders or cav or whatever. It's all painful to have out there. So I can get rid of this gun there in case I end up needing it. I am short on open order markers in this scenario. Glad they gave so many, because I was one short setting up the Catholics, and now this guy's got one on him. I don't know how to mark him. I don't really think I'll give him a disabled gun. I could pull counters out of another game, but that seems like a bit of overkill in this case, because I think those are going to clear up pretty soon. Brian pointed out a few mistakes I made. I forgot that you got to keep leaders, actually the wing commanders, actually on top of a unit. I had those all set up outside of the units. Try to protect them. I got one over here. I'll move him somewhere back here. But a few others. This guy here, who took the fire and became formation shaken, he's actually formation broken now. That means I have an open order counter for this. I'm just, I'm kind of mentally weaker than my usual low bar in these games, and I just could not face rereading the rule book when I felt like I mainly knew it. I'm not sure why. I just am not in the mood to read rules. I wanted to play this, and well, it's nice to have an eye looking over me. The other thing was the close combat matrix. Man, I mean, I didn't even want to read which column I've got here, so I just assumed, yeah, the top's the attacker, and looked down and said, oh wait, why can't anybody hit light infantry? Totally backwards there. And that's, all I can say to apologize for it is I'm in kind of a weird position work-wise right now, where I've got a lot of stress built up. I know I have to actually go into the office before I start working and pick stuff up, and I found out today they don't have all my stuff yet. So it's just, whenever I'm in kind of an absolutely weird situation, it stresses me out tremendously. Anyway, we'll try to keep pushing through these. Mainly it's my chance to play them more than anything else. But I do enjoy being able to share the plays and try to get them right. Well, I opened things up with Likenstein's wing, and that was kind of a problem, because remember, he's mostly out of command. I was able to slip into a receive charge, but that means, and that was primarily to recover a unit, but that means that, and actually I could recover these guns too, I think. But the units behind were out of command. Now this guy can't even fire at that hedgehog right in front of him. He's not willing to conduct an offensive action because he's out of command. So I had to break through here. I attempted an attack and got a really bad roll, and I actually had a -1 penalty against me, even though I'm hitting from the flank, because the size and the quality of the Protestant unit was higher. So I ended up routing back, and then no continuation came from it, and things are beginning to collapse even on the side where it looked like I had gained some traction. Uh-oh. Well, trying to charge up this hill is just not working. The open orders, forced to come in, they slammed against this Hohenloh's force. They also managed to break one Protestant cav, but two of the cav had to slam into this. One of them, I think, was forced. I don't know. Anyway, boy, that doesn't work well. I thought, geez, I'm hitting infantry in the flank. They're not able to get. They failed their hedgehog, so I made the attack. Well, when I looked that up, arquebusiers, or cuirassiers for that matter, against heavy infantry are not pleasant. You can't be surprised that the arquebusters aren't at -2. I managed to get 2 units, so I didn't get a strength point. Well, I only got a -1 from strength point, but I'm here in open formation, and bang, they're just destroyed. This is not going well for the Catholics at all. Tilly's not going to be happy in this scenario, I think. Is he here? Yeah, he's up here. I don't know why he's flipped and finished. He shouldn't be yet. Must have not done him yet. Anyway, we'll try for getting this guy, Teffenbach, to be to get an initiative. But the truth of the matter is, the way I'm doing this, I'm turning this from a one-sided battle in favor of the Catholics into a mess. Let's see. Yeah, he's not going to get to react either. And at the end of the turn, we pushed into turn 4 here. The Protestants kind of redressed their lines, but basically the Catholics are having so much trouble just making it up the hill. We saw when they did hit the line, they broke. Over here, the Protestants don't have a lot they can do. I think over here they're trying to rally a unit. That'll be an automatic rally. Here they couldn't, but they're just keeping their same receive charge orders, which allows them to just kind of stand there. That's what the first line of the Imperials has too, and really nothing's happening basically because the terrain's so crappy. It's so hard to fight in this kind of terrain. For me, I don't know. I remember having trouble in bad terrain before. The game just does not deploy the way that you want it to. You're expecting some kind of massive route in this game because that's what White Mountain is, but I just don't remember how to use my units properly enough. And right off, the first scenario is, of course, crappy terrain that I couldn't really operate well under. I think this one's going to be pretty much a failure for the Catholics, but I'll keep playing it out and see what happens. I certainly wasn't ready to face this as my first scenario. I feel like in order to play this game, I have to go back and play, Gustav Adolphus or one of those that had nice big straight battles, because trying to manipulate these units in the bad terrain, it's really a tough system to learn all that at once. At the same time, you're kind of learning the fighting again. But this particular scenario ain't a good one to start with, I'll tell you that much, because I don't think I've ever achieved the skills to be able to operate in rough terrain in these formations. It's hellish to try to, open formation is basically, and I said this in another video, in another game, it's basically formation shaken. And I forgot about the fact that when you take a hit in open formation, you drop immediately to broken. Artillery fire wasn't effective, but otherwise all the Protestants did was really dress the line in trying to fix their situations where it is. But we're not seeing any big breakthroughs. Alright, we'll load this one up. Right now my internet's dead for some reason. I blame Cox. Anyway, up it goes.